We'll see whether it is going to be Macau being able to deal with that one. Has a lot of utility himself. Tokka's thinking about what he wants to do, and as far as what INTZ have been playing towards, it doesn't always have to necessarily be towards the top side of the map, even though that was how they managed to take down EDG. Jockster has a ridiculous jungle proximity, something like 26%.
It
there
literally
from the bottom side of the map.
Went from 26% in the top lane to 30% for the mid lane. So INTZ very flexible in choosing where they're going to camp, top or mid.
And that's what we're going to see. Are they flexible, or do you just don't know what they're doing? Specifically in every game. Like after we see more games come out, the sample size goes up, we can see more trends, and one of these trends could be though the Lee Sin for Revolta.
Yeah, well, Lee Sin's going to come back. That's certainly looking like a trend now, but the Bard for Jockster is such a big deal. Played it 11 times, his most played champion in the regular season, 80% win rate as well for INTZ. We'll see whether he's going to be able to demonstrate some brilliance here.
And right now, there is so much pick potential riddled throughout INTZ's composition. They have playmaking ability across the board.
Well, speaking of playmaking ability, I have a feeling he's probably just flashing it for the moment.
Signature champion, of course, for Westdoor here.
Definitely.
But I'm really liking the scrappy comp here for INTZ. Focused mostly around picks and then snowballing. Something you can do against a team where you match up relatively equally, stylistically. Strong top laner, strong jungler, pretty even in mid and bot, and then the difference can be made by having the gusto to actually go for these bold plays, you know, throw that bar ultimate out, send that Ash arrow out, hope it hits and play around it. However, it's gonna be hard to play into a Malzahar passive and a Saber Spell Shield, and then Alistar that can kind of go full bodyguard, jump in front of the bullet, and then ulti out.
Yeah, exactly right, and that is going to be locked in. Of course, the Jace coming in as well for Ziv. Lots of damage from the top side of the map. As once again, the Malzahar into Cassiopeia matchup for Westdoor. Ryu had a good time last time we saw it. Jockster now having a look at some Kled.
Before we get too excited over the possible Kled lock-in, just quickly touching back on AHQ's composition and what they've got the makings of. I like the fact that they have so much lane pressure and pushing power on both the Sivir and the Malzahar, and then they pair that in tandem with the Nidalee jungle, opening up a lot of space so Mountain can possibly look for invades if he chooses to play that aggressive, fast style.
Yeah, you definitely want lane push. It's gonna be rough though from the mid lane. The early levels, Malzahar has to concede to Cassiopeia. Right now, INTZ is thinking, do we go with the conventional cannon or the rumble?
They do.
It is actually the cannon lock-in here, so there's definitely kill pressure. If you look at what Lee Sin needs laners that provide CC for themselves, and cannon's actually quite reliable at getting at least one stun off on a gank. So if we see Revolta path top early for Yang, there's actually a world where Ziv is getting camped, just like the EG top laner was.
And just to piggyback on that, Krepo, I completely agree. I love how there's hard CC available in every single lane for Revolta. We saw that when they were successful against EDG, it was about snowballing, making plays, and Revolta has all of the tools on this composition to do that.
Yeah, and if INTZ want to move around the map as well, I mean, the global power as well coming out of that Enchanted Crystal Arrow can take AHQ by surprise, theoretically. Of course, AHQ are the team that do like to do that lane swap early on, that 5-minute mark, move towards the top side of the map, utilize the lack of fortification and try and get that first turret. See whether that is going to be something that they change up, because that has been relatively consistent.
The Mountain versus Revolta is the matchup we need to track.
Which mountain are we going to get today?
Which mountain? Level 3. We need to see the vision, see where they invade at each other, because a Nidalee can be stopped by a Lee Sin if he sees her coming. And in addition to that, this is the first time Mountain has played Nidalee since week 9 of Spring Split.
Oh my goodness. Well, he has had some phenomenal performances so far here at Worlds. He has looked fine. Mountain hasn't necessarily gone back to his regular season ways, but that is dangerous. And we want you to get on Twitter. Tell us who you're backing. Tweet at LOL Esports with hashtag AHQ win or the hashtag ITZ win and get behind your team. INTZ, I have a feeling we'll be getting a few more votes this time around.
Yeah, finally heading into game here. We've seen relatively passive level 1s, no super deep invades.
Nothing too exciting.
The whole goal is usually to get a little bit of deep vision to figure out where this jungle starts. And you can extrapolate a lot of information if you find the location. So let's see if any of these teams are going to go for Cheeky Warden over at Crux, at Red Buff, to get a little bit of information from level 1 to work with.
Nidalee is typically much safer at gathering information just because she has the ability that she can go over the walls if she chooses so.
Yep, can run a little bit faster as well. Just spending some time in those bushes. But at the moment, INTZ just spreading themselves out. Tokka's actually moving towards the bottom side as Jockster finds himself a chime. There it is.
It's important. Brush dominance is the new law of level 1. This is actually quite a bit of a bind and Albus have picked themselves in. Sivir Alistar is not that easy to play into such a poke-heavy lane like Ashe and Bard. The nerfs for Ashe make it more sustainable, but they're doing a great job. Look at how they're securing basically lane vision, and now they're going to go probably for the late camp stop. Check if somebody's in the brush. They don't want the Alistar Sivir lane to do camp. I doubt they want to do camp themselves, but they just want to get lane dominance early on.
I know you like to talk about this a lot, Crepo, the fact that Bard is actually empowered the longer you spend at level 1 because he is so strong at level 1 himself due to those empowered auto attacks with those meeps.
Slap him around from the hip.
Remember, guys, if you do want to check out the Ziv and Yang stream, it is on Riot Games 2 right now.
Who wouldn't want to check that out, though?
Hey, that's a very good point. This is a very good point. It's Mountain and Ziv now setting up to start things off. So this Nidalee will probably get a creep before 3 minutes.
Look how they're respecting the brush here. They're trying to juke out the combo.
Yeah, good pulverize comes in. Jockster takes a fair bit of damage and misses the Cosmic Binding.
They achieved what they wanted. They were hiding outside of that ward vision. They throw a volley into the brush first, then he walked in and out of the brush to kind of juke the combo maybe, or the pulverize router. And right now it's all about lane control, poking the Alistar down, using that double range advantage without pushing too much. So once they've secured the push here, they should be focusing on poke. But I think Ann and Albus are relatively okay with how fast this wave is actually pushing in.
And we'll see where the wave ends up actually settling. A lot of AD carry and support duos are trying to get this wave to settle right here that you have it on your screen right now so they can get a nice safe freeze. It's, you know, a little bit too close to the tower that you can't be super aggressive, but something that I love about Ashe is that when she does get you underneath that tower, her poke due to the volley is just so punishing. Sivir really doesn't get that same type of poke under tower because she's relying more on the ricochet bounces.
Well, at the moment, they are going to shove it all the way up to this outer turret. Now Albus and Arn will have some time to get themselves some creeps. Mountain already up to his Raptor camp.
Yeah, pretty standard or relatively greedy clears here by both jungles. 3 camps on one side is something we saw less and less at the start of the 6.15 up to 16.18 patch because you could swap sides of the map a lot quicker here. Now Revolta has done 3 camps into enemy red buff contest. He's just going to be late here. You should always assume that Nidalee is done with this camp here, so I don't know what Revolta's actually doing. This is quite fortunate that he actually spotted Mountain right there.
Yeah, Tokka's was moving around as well, but Mountain should be absolutely fine.
I have to agree. Nidalee, it's not so surprising that she would look for a sizable clear, although hold on.
Westall taking so much damage. Good silence comes out, but the Twin Fangs are still there, and Westall has no mana whatsoever. Decent trade, but Tokka's, he took a fair bit as well.
And that means that it's going to be the pot advantage now for Talkers in that mid lane. We had some questions about Westor versus Talkers, if Talkers would be able to punish that on an international stage, international competition.
Yeah, headbutt pole. Jockster takes some damage, but man, this guy is aggro on the Bard. More than happy to fight back.
Yeah, but we need to gauge how well the pressure is going into the other lanes here, because the jungle duel is what we were watching. This will be a breaking point eventually. This bot lane will get out sustained, but Ann and Albus should be able to find a base. They're relatively even CS. Mount right now stealing a little bit away. I think he's definitely punishing Revolta here. It was a little over-eager to invade such a late red buff. Usually you want to do a 2-camp or a 3-camp straight invade, but having 3-camp left side to then walk all the way over to contest red buff is a little over-eager.
Ziv really putting some pressure down here towards the top side. Even throws the ward down onto Yang and cops a shock blast to the face. So the little cannon struggling just a little bit, but it's not really showing in the CS. He should be fine.
Yeah, it definitely helps that you can just throw your ward in lane when your jungler is securing Scuttlecraft vision.
Yeah.
We're seeing why Nidalee is such a potent jungler here on this patch too. Just the clear speed that she can have is just phenomenal. She can outpace most, if not all, junglers in the current meta.
We'll see what Mountain is going to be able to do with all of the pressure that he's going to be acquiring from the jungle. At the moment, he's just out farming the heck out of Revolta.
Again, you're still competing and waiting for your hard CC. So the big thing about Nidalee jungle is that she doesn't have that hard CC. So she's pretty much reliant on either the post Malzahar 6, but hold on.
Big moment here, big moment. If this gang hits, it's so big for INTZ.
Lightning Rush goes in, but Yang takes so much damage. Revolta now going to have to look for a 1v1, and yeah, the minions are making it far more than that. Revolta takes so much damage. Yang, he might just be an afterthought kill as the shock blast comes down. Will the Marcus got good flash, but Westor's turned up and he's going to get the first blood.
The presence of mind from Ziv to realize he was in a full minion wave and simply 1v2 that. Beautifully played.
And this is something that Ziv is very well known for back home. It's his ability to turn around 2v1 scenarios like that. Kind of known as more of a conservative top laner, but showing up big here.
There were about 1,000 minions doing everything they could for AHQ in that fight.
But this gank is so important. Look, massive wave here. This is over-eager. Yang is also giving it away. Not getting a good angle to stun Ziv. Ziv was never stunned down, so Revolta had a really hard time connecting his Q in this minion wave, and they're going in very disjointed. The minions are basically getting full access to both players one by one, and even with the flash here, look at this. Wester comes in to finish it off, but this is so well played by Ziv, and the context of what this means within the game is just defeating for INTZ. They were already behind in jungle pacing, and they fall much farther behind right now.
And Revolta was never able to Q during that entire exchange. There was minions that Ziv had placed between him and the Lee Sin that entire time.
Had a horde in front of him.
Yeah, well, admittedly, it didn't take all that much effort as Ziv gets out-traded by Yang. Good dodge. As Mountain still waiting on this top side. Remember, no flash for the cannon.
He warded over, so he has no clue that Mountain's in this brush. He smells something, but can he actually do anything? Yang's still level 5.
Yeah, Spear is actually going to land as well. There's the pounce and the takedown onto the cannon. This is a disaster for INTZ.
And this is where INTZ found success when they did win their game. It was through the top lane and Yang, and now he has been firmly shut down for this early game.
And Revolta has been punished for his early game decision-making. He went for an invade and an early top gank, costing himself a lot of CS. If that gank failed, he would pay the price, and it failed super hard.
It certainly did, and that's going to result in a 20 CS lead for Ziv on the top side of the map. INTZ trying to make up for it on the bottom side with a big zone. On good preemptive spell shield, but didn't need it. Poison lands onto Albus, but Talkers won't be able to find a kill. I'll just get them off the turret.
Yeah, pretty smart from INTZ. Realizing they're weak in the top side, they're putting all their eggs in the bot lane. First turret basket here with a very telegraphed roam, but even then, you still have to respect it on the side of AHQ.
It's now about what can be grabbed in response to this. The first tower bonus surely will fall for INTZ right there, but meanwhile on the other side of the map, Mountain continuing his counter jungling siege, stealing the red buff and now moving towards Raptors.
Yeah, and it's not even going to give them a gold lead as well. AHQ 200 in the lead as INTZ 83%. The CB LoL fans out in force, as they generally are.
Just the sixth man behind this team, and speaking of 6 men.
Yeah, they are moving towards the mid lane as Mountain trying to get himself out. Good Q from Revolta.
Oh.
There's the kick. Flash Mountain flashes his way out, but he's going the wrong way. The flash ultimate Talkers gets the stun, and Mountain's gonna die.
Superstar jungler Revolta right there. Sick Lee Sin mechanics. I know it's known as the insect, but might as well name it the Revolta after that play.
Yeah, kick flash comes out. Really good chaining of abilities. Quite unfortunate for Mountain. As he turns out to throw a spear, he goes right into the R flash from Cassiopeia. Let's watch it again. Mountain, let's be honest here, probably shouldn't be here. A little overextended. Kick flash comes out. Actually, right before the silence connects, and then right here, R flash, and as he turns around, he gets petrified in that petrifying gaze. That's a little unfortunate here because he was going 1-for-1 onto Jogster. Maybe was going to force a flash. Slightly over-eager by Mountain, so at least tallying up the mistakes 1-1 in terms of over-eager moves between Revolta and Mountain.
And that's going to even things up. INTZ still behind a couple of hundred, but 2-1 is the kill score. 1 tower in favor of INTZ. The fact that the gold still leans a little bit towards AHQ on that front after that first turret blood does mean that AHQ still have a heck of a lot of control, especially from that top side, which is very quickly getting out of control.
So what is important is that it's the bottom tower that's down right now. So On and Albus are doing a good job making sure that Macau and Jogster are still locked down, pushing the way forward, making sure that Ashe has to be there to pick up the free CS. But as soon as this Ashe starts getting unlocked from the play, that's when INTZ can continue their snowball by using that Ashe arrow.
Yeah, Mountain kind of sneakily going into the pit here, but it's this point right here, the top lane. That's the breaking point of this matchup. Seeing another gank come out.
Yeah, there's the Maelstrom as Ziv gets stunned up, but he's trying to take it back here. The kick preemptively puts him into the turret, and Revolta just smacks him in the face.
It looked so great for a second. Will we see another 1v2? But then he actually canceled one auto attack, and he was simply kicked into the turret range here. Great moves here by INTZ. First playing around their weak point by going bot, and then fixing the mistakes they made earlier by getting another kill on the top side.
In response, though, AHQ will pick up the Infernal Drake, but I also wanted to point out the great response from Macau and Jogster to realize that their team was making a play on the top side of the map and to back up and play very defensively on the bottom side of the map. So great cross-map communication to keep them safe.
Now Westor now getting pressured a little bit by Tockers out of this lane in mid. But this is not the same story as what it was against Ryu. 84 to 90 is no problem here for Westor, who was expected to struggle in this matchup.
Definitely not the easiest matchup to play. You lose a little bit of pressure early. Westor even roamed up for that kill initially, so he hasn't been punished too much. Tockers was donating that one kill, but it cost him a flash, which means there's relatively little zone. He's staying even CS, which is honestly what AHQ want him to do.
Look at all of those chimes. Jock's having a field day. It's fantastic. Yang going to take himself down some Krugs. Ziv shoves that wave one more time towards that top side of the map. Mountain forever hovering around his top laner.
Now we're hitting the point of the game where INTZ can actually start playing towards the composition in terms of making picks. If Mikau gets a base off, walks into any random lane, and Ash Shower combined with a teleport could pay off well for INTZ, but they need to keep Yang alive here because this tower is falling and Mountain shows up again.
Yeah, and out goes Yang. He's trying to escape. Good flash after the pounce as Mountain will be able to catch up to him. Another pounce comes in. He gets under another turret, but is that going to be enough? Tempered Fate was almost there, but Civ gets the kill.
Revolta is underneath them.
Oh, good Q. He's still looking for it. Fair bit of damage now as the kicks knock one out. The minions, they're not there, and Revolta, he's going to be taken down. This chase is so damn big. The acceleration gate should be able to get him to safety. Tockers could not chase after that man.
And the minion aggro not enough to finish off Mountain. So close there for Revolta.
Yeah, Revolta looking to kind of make up for a mistake earlier by his team. Going pretty greedy, knowing he would likely die at the end of that play. This would be so defeating for INTZ to not only lose 2 kills in that exchange in the top lane, but also lose their mid lane turret. A mid lane turret is so important if you want to keep any semblance of control on the map.
And the reason why is because Ziv is absorbing so much pressure into the top lane. All of INTZ.
Oh, Mikau Westor from over the side. Albus into the headbutt pulverized. The silence comes in. Malefic Visions will finish it off, and Westor picks up the Ash.
Now, out of Fog of War, totally unexpected to get a random Malzahar ulti
Yeah,
into
it's like,
the
wow,
flash
there's
cow.
purple attached to my head. What happened?
Why am I stunning on a bunch of void things?
I was expecting applause.
It's that moment
Can't
when
move my character.
you're actually looking down lane and suddenly your screen's just red.
Yeah.
Why is my screen gray?
Yeah.
Happens every time.
Happens to me a lot, Crepo. Revolta is going to be able to secure his rev up at least. Not his blue. His Mountain is going to steal that one away and give it to Westor here. A lot of control. Bottom side of the map as that turret, of course, did fall down as well. AHQ taking away the whole outer ring. And now getting themselves out to about a 4,000 gold lead.
A lot of control is a bit of an understatement. There are 4 blue players sitting down there in that bottom lane looking to pressure this inner tower. And again, it's because Ziv absorbing so much pressure. There were 3 members of INTZ on the top side.
Yep.
Safely backs away, and it's another free tower and objective for AHQ.
AHQ is definitely leaning on their strengths here. Whenever they see an opening, they're not afraid to take it here. And this is some of the things that we were expecting from INTZ coming into the tournament. They opened with a very big surprise, but they're still looking to kind of dot the I's, cross the T's in their play. A little overeager at times, not always thinking too far ahead of what the repercussions of a play is going to be. And then we have to go back to the early game. Revolta going for the early invade, getting outpaced. And then Yang finding himself 1v2'd in the top lane.
Yeah, we have to look back at what H2K did to INTZ. And it was just slow, methodical play. They didn't do anything too fancy. They just played cleaner League of Legends. AHQ looking to try and do the same thing. Of course, anything can happen. It's only 14 minutes into this game. INTZ have an uphill battle.
So with Dragon still on timer right now, the #1 move for AHQ is to move into the top side jungle, that red side, and start placing down their triangle vision. That's what you see Albus and Mountain doing right now on your screen. And they're going to start applying pressure and bouncing waves between mid and top tower, looking for picks or chip damage on those turrets.
Yeah, they definitely want to play around their last easily accessible tier 2 tower. It's really hard to get anything in mid. Mountains right now on the...
There's your
Oh my
pick.
goodness, massive ever pulverizes. Revolta's been saved by Josta, but Mountain hasn't. Tockers over to the side, almost takes him down, but he doesn't
the
take
arrow.
a Janet Kushlara, not enough.
Mountain
As Mikau was so close.
stuck across the wall on the miasma. He was wondering why he couldn't jump over him, but when he realized, he turned around straight into the petrifying gaze, and it was so close for
On the
Tockers.
hunt.
But he stayed on
Tockers,
too
good
long.
flash out of the headbutt. The miasma's there as well as Tockers looking to turn this one. Remember, the ultimate's still available from Albus. Doesn't pop it.
And we're good.
Yeah, I think so.
Actually subsides.
Oh.
AHQ still do have momentum to at least get some damage here, although Bard's hanging around in the area, as well as forcing Talkers to cancel his back so they don't get this turret for free, but they should just shove in the wave.
Yeah, they have a lot of poke here. INTZ, very reliant on their big cooldowns to really force things. Westdoors is grouped up in mid lane with Mountain.
Oh,
Another spear gonna follow up, but that's
there it is. So easy as the pounce comes through afterwards. AHQ should be able to get a lot of damage onto this turret.
And when Malzahar was reigning for so long on 6.16, it was really just the oppressive reach of that ultimate there. Just catches Macau off guard.
Yeah, we have to wonder what INTZ is doing in terms of predicting these plays, because Yang is hanging around in the bot lane, desperately looking for that level 11 to get the second form of the ultimate, but he had teleport up right there. Maybe they could have red countered the play, played a little bit more safe here. It feels like INTZ is thinking about what they should do next, but they're never calculating into that thought process what their opponent's about to do. They're not reading the plays, they're playing very reactive, and it works when you're ahead, because you can always make the first move, make the pick. But in these situations, you gotta read your opponent and actually make a trap.
They have so many tools to do that as well in their composition because there are so many poke options available for them. So the nice thing is that if they do fall behind, there's always going to be an answer or a play that they can make because they can quickly turn a 4v5 into a 5v5 into a 4v5.
Yeah, they can make a single pick on a target or just lock somebody down. The problem is AHQ obviously knows that. In simplicity, because simplicity gets you predictability too. AHQ is definitely going to be careful.
It just goes back to the beauty of that composition, like you were talking about champions, like the fact that they have the spell shield, that they have the Malzahar passive, that you have Alistar who can go into his ultimate and walk out of hard CC.
That was a free dragon taken by Mountain, though. Was able to secure that by himself. Revolta on a ward. There's a headbutt pull from Albus. Slowed down by the Cosmic Binding as the Q is going to land. Not sure that's the target he wants. The Safeguard gets Revolta out again. On the hunt has been used. Magical Journey gets INTZ all group back up.
Yeah, we're still looking for Jockster to get an impact on his game. He feels like he's arriving late to many situations. Tempered Fate comes out to save rather than to engage and make a pick. Brush camping right now for INTZ. Desperately looking for just somebody who's not paying attention on the side of AHQ.
Still has the arrow available, does Macau. Arn and Albus going to move once again aggressively into the jungle of INTZ. This pink ward should be found and taken down. Ooh, nice stun with the Cosmic Binding. Decent follow-up, but that tower was always going to fall down. What? That was not a very magical journey, but he is still going to be okay.
Sometimes it's just a little shorter than you would expect. The journey, of course.
No, I just needed to live in that pause for a little while.
You can also see that Mikao was really confused as to what to do, and it's indicative that INTZ is playing a very reactive playstyle. He was pacing back and forth at the Krug wall, basically not knowing, do I join mid? Are we giving up this tower? If we do I go top? No, because I will get rotated on. He's figuring out the counterplays to his own actions live, instead of 30 seconds or a minute ahead, and that's keeping INTZ in this perpetuous defensive position where AHQ then have the time to easily rotate. Like, look, they went from mid to top. There's no counterplay. There's no push that way bottom here. For AHQ, the world is their oyster because of the lack of resistance and prediction on the side of INTZ.
You do have Yang making his way up into the top lane, but almost too little too late as this tower is quickly falling.
Oh, and Macau is doing exactly the same thing, down to about 300
Oh.
health. The flash pulverizes Yang. He's going to get headbutted away, which makes a bit of sense. Ultimate comes out of Albus as AHQ. There's the arrow, and Albus not going to stay healthy for long. Good exhaust onto Yang as he gets punted out, but Tockers is able to take down Macau.
Great interaction right there for Ziv on the Jace to make sure that he can swing Kinnan away and allow a clean disengage from AHQ, only dropping Albus on Alistar.
Yeah, knocks it out of the park on that one because that was the follow-up that INTZ was looking for. But when you start looking for so many flanks, you actually leave your main side of the fight exposed. Look, there's so many members here. Yang and Revolta both looking for flanks. The Jockster and Mikao got poked out. Albus right now watched a little bit too much of Mata. He wants to be the playmaker. The tower was down. The objective was secured. We won't fault him for it, but here we go. Ziv just straight going for that home run. Knocks him into his team. AHQ still take a tower for a kill. They're happy.
But this is the right mentality from INTZ and how they want to approach their team fights. Again, they're facing across from a lot of poke damage in the Nidalee, in the Jace. Make these flanking plays, make these hard, aggressive engagements.
Yeah, the plan is definitely the right thing. You want to open up with that CC, with that Bartle, with the arrow, but you got to plan it out, map it out a little bit better. No need to take the poke early, pull the trigger a little bit earlier, just go hard or go home on the side of INTZ, because if you enter a fight on half HP already, you're basically conceding. You've lost already, and definitely very hard with the large gold deficit they're facing. They're looking to stay in this game and hopefully stall out the Nashor enough so they can pick up the side lane farm and maybe become competitive later on, but it's a very large gap.
Yeah, most certainly is. We'll see whether they can get things to calm down, because so far AHQ have been fantastic at forcing these plays. 7,000 gold the lead, 6-3 in kills, which isn't huge, but only 20 minutes into this one. AHQ with a lead, 26 wins and 0 losses.
And I wonder what time it is, as we're now setting up for the Baron. The Infernal Drake
Our
will
stats
be...
guy's pretty good at timing.
Our Infernal Drake will be spawning relatively soon, so for now, if they can make a pick while they have this window to play towards the top side of the map, they can easily rotate into that objective. But otherwise, set your vision down, see what you get, throw out your fish hook, see if something bites.
Didn't find one just then, as On the Hunt was used for AHQ to try and find some sort of pick in the jungle. Didn't quite get that.
Yeah, this is what AHQ did very well in the regional qualifier.
Oh, the dream! INTZ back in it with the Raptor steal.
The Raptor steal to turn it all around.
That's how it works.
Momentum. If only it was that simple. But yeah, AHQ did this very well in their regional qualifier. They actually understood the steps towards isolating objectives. They've done a fantastic job, because even when you're winning this hard, to get all 6 towers on the map this quick is honestly very impressive. Can't be understated. Right now, they want to isolate the next objective, either a Baron Vision early, but they likely will, as Frost mentioned, pivot towards that Infernal Drake, just pick it up for security.
It's the nice thing of not just having a poke composition, but understanding how it relates into Siege and using it in the right spot. Some teams, they'll have their poke and they can execute well on that around team fights like monster objectives, but they don't move it around towers where it needs to be. And AHQ have done a phenomenal job this game, making sure that they're layering that poke and chipping away at these structures.
Yeah, and right now they have inhibitor turrets to siege down, so it will be a little bit more difficult, but with that Baron available, could be an opportunity. However, very early in this game, we'll see whether it is going to be contesting things like buffs, everything else around the jungle and things like that can get themselves that window to start pushing forward.
Yeah, and honest, giving necessary respect to Joxer and Revolta. Magical Journey into a kick could be enough here, so AHQ keeping their auto turrets alive. It's very hard to keep all these structures alive while playing the map at the same time, so it becomes with slow, methodical play that is necessary. Their composition, as Frost alluded to, is also really built good versus the counters to poke. Because the counters to pokes is just instant flank, instant engage, and if you have an Alistar or a Malzahar passive or a Spell Shield, will just give you that little window where you can react in. That is usually enough to kind of disengage, reset the fight, and then win by poking more.
But even if they do win a team fight, the other thing that AHQ's composition has in spades is their wave clear. And it's almost like they have to completely ace them, because if any of Malzahar, Sivir, or Jace are left alive, they're going to be able to neutralize any advantage they get by clearing out the waves when INTZ try to siege objectives.
Yeah, the abundance of wave clear makes it so that Baron is the most contested objectives. Different regions have different approaches. In the LPL,
we just kind of run head first.
As long as you're ahead,
Baron, man.
As long as you're ahead, you can start Baron. In other regions, people really want that 100-0, no 50-50 shenanigans. Right now, the wave minion or the map control router is translating into a free dragon here for AHQ. You'll get to soon judge them on their Baron bait execution.
And that's 3-0 as well, as AHQ grabbed 2 Infernals and a Cloud.
This means that we can now start picking up our vision. You see AHQ have a lot of it in that bottom blue side jungle. They're going to, again, pick up that triangle, move it over to the top side, and this is when the Baron bait that Krepa was talking about really comes into execution.
I mean, it's good to leave the vision lingering a little bit, because it'll enable Ziv to play in a bot lane. You always want to put your teleport farthest away from the objective you're doing. They're going from Baron right now. That means Ziv's going to play on a bot lane. But because that lane is so long and there's no turrets anymore, he really wants to play at the enemy's base. Those wards are going to help him. And then it's obviously up to Albus to move over, get some deep vision behind the Baron in the enemy red buff. Basically tell INTZ, if you're going to face check, it'll be at a cost.
Certainly will. Do want to have a look at the items just quickly, as Yang has finished that Zhonya's Hourglass, which is going to be very important to avoid getting smacked out of these teamfights by a headbutt or a big hammer from the Jace.
You know, despite sitting 0, 3, and 2, Yang does have his core itemization in the Hourglass as well as the Proto Belt.
The problem with this particular build for Kennen is it's a good build when you're ahead, because what it lacks in damage, it takes up in buying time, sustainability throughout the fight. But if you really need the window, like the Smeb Kennen ulti, that's when you need a more damage-oriented build, like an earlier allies, maybe like an Abyssal to Proto Belt. The Zhonya's itself is really not going to do too much for him, and even if he gets a 4-man stun, it'll likely not do
Oh
much.
my goodness, speaking of a stun, Joxer is going to be taken down. He was in his journey, he was having a good time, but not now. He's in the death chamber.
Got locked down. Can't take that portal while silenced, or suppressed for that matter. Revolta here with the cow.
There's the arrow on demand, but in goes Albus. The knock-up's there. The spear's not going to land, as there goes Albus. Dragon Rage kick going to get him out of there. Tokka's heading around as well, as Revolta getting chased by the cat and the cow. Joxer over the wall. Westor is going to be taken down, but Ziv's going to get revenge. Eventually, there it is. The shutdown actually given
scrappy fight across the board, but in the end, AHQ do come out on top. Low health bars, however, so they can't immediately turn towards the Baron, looking for more.
Oh, in goes Mountain. Revolta is going to fall, but that's a trade, and maybe one that INTZ will be happy with. There it is, eventually a trade.
Mountain is out for blood. He really takes this one-on-one mano duel seriously against Revolta. But we have to go back. INTZ started this pickup. Right now, Ziv's in trouble.
Yeah, he's been exhausted. Yang's going to stun him up one more time. Proto Belt, and there it is. The top laner going to be able to take down his opponent, but that's going to cost him an inhibitor turret in the top lane.
All right, what a mess here. We see on the Hunt Pump, spell shield down, so we should finally see the action subside. But it was INTZ starting this play with an arrow, yet Yang did not teleport in at any point, and we have to question that relationship within this team. Are these guys talking to each other? Are they really setting up the same play together, or are they going for in-the-moment, you know, reactive plays? Like we talked about it against EDG, it was working because they were so far ahead, but right now it seems to be falling apart. Like, they're camping in this bush for over 4 seconds. They're gonna go for an arrow. At this point, we should see a TP from Ken come out.
What an incredible response from Albus as well to immediately flash, pulverize, lock them up, so it wasn't the team fight that they were looking for. And then this just turns into massive 1v2s and 3v2s split.
Yeah, because Ziv comes in there, full 5 seconds ahead. Yang walks to the mid lane, walks into the base here. We see pistols at Dawn, Mountain, and Revolta. Eventually both end up dropping in that exchange.
It was definitely exciting. Tocker's going to clear out all of the minions there in the mid lane. INTZ trying to gather some normalcy.
I mean, if the Q lands, it's, what is it, Nidalee syndrome?
Hey, yeah.
Actually works.
That's really cool. Both of them can do the same crazy things.
And we're back in the dance.
Yeah, first step is always getting the mid push, so Wester alone can't get it. So they need his teammates to group mid, push out the wave, and then they can go for a deep vision.
Big difference now, though, is because Yang didn't use his TP, yeah, a little bit questionable for the team fight, but it does mean that they have that summoner advantage now if they want to play cross-map. You can see that Jace has shoved the wave in on the bottom side. Yang's responding to that.
Yeah, that's why Ziv wants to definitely clear out these wards so he can just push up and then hide in Fog of War himself. Basically making it very hard for Yang to predict where he is. If Ziv's gonna play at the base, then AHQ need to siege. Then they may go for a 4-1 siege without the Nasher. If they commit to the Baron area, they have to be careful because then it becomes a 4v5 where Yang can actually TP.
Frighteningly, Macau was towards the top side. Even more so for Jockster, he's going to get smacked by a shock blast. Tockers throws down the miasma. They're trying to clear out this wave, and Macau's going to join back up with his team. INTZ at least stave off AHQ for the moment.
I do like the fact that AHQ aren't full going ham on the Baron.
Yep.
They're still utilizing their Siege Cop, understanding that their poke works really well when they have INTZ in front of them, locked underneath the tower, fish in a barrel, and are trying to gain advantages through that as opposed to just tunneling hard on that Baron and giving a possible 50-50 to Revolta.
Yeah, and at this point, they also see the timer remaining on the wards, and it's usually pretty much the same across all wards. So they saw that it's about like a minute left on most wards here, so they likely go for more pushes because they can't guarantee sweeping out all the vision themselves. So going for the push and then have time be your sweeper is actually a good approach for HQ. They have in general been very respectful of what their opponent can do, and I think that's been the main difference in two teams who are stylistically pretty much on the same page, is the fact that AHQ have been a lot more respectful of what INTZ can do with their composition in reaction to the plays.
And piggybacking very quickly on your vision, although hold on, Jockster.
Yeah, he's going to get knocked up, headbutted back into Westor, and Ziv's going to grab the kill. Tempered Fate a little bit late, as Revolta is waiting around for some sort of flank, but 4v5, that'd be dangerous.
And since it's just the support pickup, AHQ are actually looking to contest the inhib, although Revolta now spotted.
Yep. Face off for a moment. Agree to leave each other alone.
But at least top lane help. But obviously, INTZ is looking for creative ways to get vision to the Baron pit, but then the door is opening here for HQ, and they can just walk in, look to see that inhibitor here.
You got
Yang on the bar. Yep.
Yang underneath them, positioning, looking for the flank. Yes, he doesn't do a lot of damage, but there's so much damage across INT's composition. You have the Cassiopeia, you have the Lee Sin, you have the Ashe. All he really needs to do is lock them up.
Waiting for Jockster.
They do have 5 people up, and there's the headbutt. Pulverized Tockers should be taken down. Throws out a petrifying gaze, and he's not dead yet. Albus has the ultimate as Yang very last minute on the Zhonyas and should fall down. Arn's going to grab that kill. AHQ only able to get one so far as Arn gets kicked back. Revolta trying to do the impossible, picks up the kill, and there's 2 actually for Macau. Somehow INTZ grab a 2 for 2.
But this is disaster for INTZ. They lose their inhibitor. Thankfully, they didn't lose more than that because the Cassiopeia ult completely whiffed, as well as Kennen goes down without using his ultimate.
Yeah, this is one of those examples where they're looking so much at the setup. Everyone's looking to flank that they leave their main area of the fight exposed. Talkers walks into Q flash range from Albus, and he was looking to follow up on the engage of Yang, but as he gets caught, it all falls to pieces. The card house starts stumbling down, and that's really the breaking point. Inhib goes down. 2 for 2, yes, but AHQ now have complete map control again.
And this is why it's so important to look for flanks. And it's almost a little bit too late since INTZ are cornered back into their base, because running front to back at AHQ's composition, they're just going to catch you with that Malzahar every time.
Yeah.
Speaking about being caught, Ziv almost found Pockets. Able to slither his way out. Yang clearing minions towards the top side. INTZ only lose 1 inhibitor. AHQ now have pretty free reign over this Baron area, despite that ward still living.
Yeah, bot lane needs to be kind of fixed right now for HQ, so they're gonna send something down, get the slow push going, or just make it a fast push. Ziv can stay there right now. Teleport advantage has been negated. Teleport's back on for Ziv here, so we could see a 4-1. You can see Westar pushing it out, but Ziv should take over duty there on the push.
Tokas did just finish his Seraph Embrace, so 3 items now for the Cassiopeia. They're slowly coming through for INTZ. 3 QSSs here as well for jungler top and mid. Not one yet for Macau, which he's the guy that's been getting a lot of the attention.
And that's something that's very often overlooked here. What some of these picks do, like a Malzahar. Many people judged him purely on his dueling potential, but the fact that he forces 3 people to alter their build paths, hit their power spikes later because they have to pick up the QSS, you know, get that early game gold sync in, it alters the power spikes of his entire composition of INTZ, especially when behind here. So that's why Malzahar in the late game is such a strong pick, because he makes everybody slightly weaker in terms of item builds.
I'm just so proud right now that AHQ still aren't funneling into Baron. Like, I promised myself I wouldn't cry at this moment, but they're using their siege comp. They're prioritizing the structure, saying this is how we win the game. We don't need to fight them or give them an opportunity to fight them where they can get these big flanking plays on us. Let's put them into a corner and continue to drive it home.
It's certainly working out as they were able to take that down that mid lane inhibitor turret. AHQ still pressuring multiple lanes at once. The super creeps working on that top side at the same time. Tempered Fate doesn't find either Ziv or Mountain. INTZ back to square one with their engage. Macau still has the arrow. Oh my, barely has his health bar though, which is the unfortunate part.
Just slowly running out of time and running out of health. If they wanted to make a play, they kind of almost missed their window too, so it's going to be another inhib down for INTZ.
Lacking the forward pressure to at least force somebody to juke in predictable patterns. Juxter was trying to throw almost a random Bard ultimate out, but if you can't force somebody to walk backwards or get punished for walking forwards, it's incredibly hard to hit that, even point blank.
Well, now Juxter, Tokas moving himself back. Juxter was looking at him, thought he might be able to find some sort of flanking maneuver himself, as Westar does have his passive removed. Revolta over here as well. But it just looks like INTZ can't find that perfect engage, can't find what they're looking for to try and turn this game around.
You can see Revolta, he's looking for the play. They understand that it's do or die. There's the arrow, so INTZ, they fully understand.
They're trying, but it becomes so predictable that they will have to pull the trigger. Everybody knows this is the window for a desperation play. It likely won't work. INTZ knows that. AHQ knows that as this tower is falling down, but it's the last-ditch effort before the 3rd inhibitor falls, or Ziv just straight up walks with Nexus turrets.
Yeah, Nexus turret is going to fall down just by the super creeps there, as well as Yang tries to clear them out. Ziv's still here. They're fishing a barrel in this base as the spears are even flying through. Macau looking to clear things up, but INTZ, they have to give up this bottom lane inhibitor, and they are just getting out-pressured. There's no fight here. AHQ, they're just pushing them down as Revolta. Oh my goodness, the flash was predicted, the Q was as well, and Westar survives. No more engage options apart from Yang getting some miraculous flank or something. AHQ just in so much control.
They're just smothering INTZ.
Smothering is exactly the word I was looking for.
Completely locked into the base, and I'm just... Great macro and objective identification from AHQ. Again, they didn't touch the Baron to win this game.
Definitely could have at one point. That is really being too critical. Right now, they're going to go back in here. They have ways to stop this Lee Sin, who has no flash, so very predictable here. Westar has the vision to work with. There's 2 damage dealers on the stopping front, though, so very little damage on the Baron itself.
Well, Tempered Fate is going to lock it up for the moment. Revolta does have to walk past Ziv and Westar, and they just both explode. Juxter as well. Tokas throws down the ultimate, but it's to Westar's back, and in goes Yang. This is the last-ditch effort. The Malzahar falls down, but Tokas should follow. Mountain looking to try and lock that one up, and he's going to get it. AHQ are going to take down everyone but Macau and should be able to finish off the base unless the minions do it for them before they get there.
Yeah, Mikau desperately trying to clear some of the minions what's left. At least buff up the CSD stats before the inevitable thing will happen. AHQ,
Whoa.
slow and steady, wins the race. Slow and steady eventually kills the base as well. Nex is going down.
Most certainly is. Arm's going to flash onto Macau because he may as well spear. Oh!